All right. Hello, everybody. I was also here last summer, and I've kind of been working since then on this educational project. Big shout out right away. I'm a master's student right now, going into my second year, and all of my master's research has been funded through this grant to write educational material, cooperatively with UNAVCO, and following up on Kate Gervais, a previous intern here. So thank you everybody that had any part in getting that funded. So I'm gonna go through a lot of stuff here. So last summer I was here. I got the wonderful opportunity to work with a lot of the field engineers, begin learning GPS, and start on this huge goal, which was to write a field education course on GPS for higher undergrad to lower graduate students kind of in the geosciences. Basically a field course that we hoped that had multiple modules that teachers could take and integrate into their geosciences courses to give students practical skills on how to do a GPS survey and how to apply that to societally interesting problems. So again, yeah, I came here last summer. You probably didn't see me very much because I was in and out and in the field and learning how to do GPS surveys. Part of that was here at UNAVCO. Part of that was with Jeff Coe, went down and did a GPS survey of Slumgolian landslide. So that was awesome, and shout out to those guys. And then the other part was with Chris Crosby and Marianne, and we went up to Indiana University's field camp and helped teach some of the previous modules, educational modules that were produced. And so I got teaching experience, and that was super helpful for beginning to write all this educational material. And here's a sweet picture of Slumgolian. If nobody's been there, it's awesome. And then so all through the fall and spring, like I mentioned, my graduate degree is being funded through the same grant. So I was working all through the fall and spring, writing up all this educational material, taking all those experiences that I gained at UNAVCO last summer, and developing them into the educational curriculum. In addition to that, my thesis work was on a landslide in southern Idaho, and there's just a diagram of the landslide. The survey that we set up there, we have 7 continuous GPS stations monitoring the landslide and trying to correlate it with groundwater measurements at 3 different wells across the slide. And this data is also going into the educational material. It's going to be a data set that is provided to teachers just in case they don't have a cool site like this to go out and take their students to. Oh, there's another picture. And then continuing on with my fall and spring, we finished producing all the educational materials, basically a static guide to GPS, a kinematic guide to GPS, and then some additional curriculum. We finished our final writing checkpoint in May, and then we started integrating that material and testing it out. Early this summer, we tested it at ISU's field camp. We took the kids, or not the kids, keep saying that, students up to the Lost River Fault, which is in central Idaho. If you're not familiar with this, it ruptured back in 1983, the 7.3 magnitude earthquake, and there was about 4 meters of drop along the fault line. So this is pretty huge, and there was a leveling line that was done across the fault to measure movement over the next 2 years. But since 1985, nobody's looked at it. So what we did is we took the GPS stations, we did an RTK survey back along the leveling line, and what we found was up to 40 centimeters of interseismic deformation after that 1985 leveling line that was done. So there's been a lot of movement in the last 20 years, surprisingly, on that fault. And so this is new information. The students got to go out They got to use the educational material that we wrote. They got really interesting results, something that hasn't been published yet. And in fact, just found out on Wednesday that I'm going to help co-author a paper on this, and so you can see that at AGU. So we're going to publish these results, and they should be ready pretty soon. And then this summer, so I came in this summer, and the first thing that I did was I took the Gamut and Globe K short course that was being offered by MIT here. Learned how to do static processing for all those stations that I have set up on the Salmon Falls landslide, and started integrating some of that knowledge that I gained about how to do processing on static GPS sites into the educational material. And we continued to develop the educational material. I took both student and teacher comments and suggestions when we taught it at ISU, integrated that back into our educational materials, and then also began updating some of the educational courses that Kate Gervais wrote a couple years ago, and just making sure that they were relevant and still work for people. And then additionally, we're preparing for an August short course, which is, again, on this high-resolution topography module. All right, and going forward here. So we've got the August short course that's coming up, which is using high-resolution topography, UAVs, and GPS in undergraduate field education. This will be the second short course that we've taught on this. Again, just continuing to get feedback on all these educational materials that we've been writing and continuing to edit and refine them. Hopefully by the end of this fall here, I'll have preliminary results for the Salmon Falls landslide, my thesis research. And so if you guys are at AGU, you can come see me, and hopefully I've got a poster there, and you'll be able to see the results on that. And then we'll get, that survey ends in probably late spring of 18, and we'll start getting that data kind of moved into the educational material. Additionally, again, the findings that we found on the Lost River Fault will be at AGU, so come see me there as well. And we're going to continue developing all these educational projects, and I feel like I'm probably forever tied to these. So, and that's it. Again, thanks everybody that had a hand in this.